Welcome to another Friday Assembly. And again, this week, you have been remarkable. All of you, looking at your tapestry and your showbie, you have been super busy. You've been creating, you've been writing, you've been doing some amazing maths, you've been getting out and exploring our lovely world around us, you've been baking, you've been doing everything. And it's brilliant. All of you, well done. And thank you for sharing what you're up to. Don't forget, please, if you're finding it difficult to access anything you need for your learning, so maybe if you haven't got a computer, or perhaps you're having to share one with lots of people, please don't forget to get in touch. Similarly, if you need any pencils or any books or any paper at all, please get in touch and we can help. So your grown-ups can email me, or you can get in touch on your Showbie account if it's helpful, and we will make sure you get the support you need. Now, this week also has been Children's Mental Health Week, and it's such an important time. It really, really is, particularly this year. Now, mental health is something we don't necessarily talk about as much as our physical health. We can see our physical health, so we ask people about physical health, but we don't see our mental health, so we don't always talk about it. But we should. In fact, we must. Everybody has mental health. Sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's not. Talking about our mental health is one of the most powerful things we can do. Sometimes, if we talk about our mental health, we might be worried that people think that we're not so strong. But actually, if or when you talk about your mental health, it makes you a far stronger person than you were before. This year, it's been tough. With coronavirus, we've been away from school a lot. We've had so many changes, so many things that we don't know where we're going next with. And it's hard. It puts a lot of pressure on us and on our mental health. And everybody has been feeling that. I know I've been having days when I'm feeling great. And I know I've had days where I'm feeling a bit gloomy or a bit worried. And that's okay. It's normal. But what's most important is that we talk about it. Okay, your grown-ups will have the same feelings, so they are there to talk with you too. Talking about your mental health is absolutely your #1 job, okay? One book which reminds me about this each time I read it is this one here. It's called The Huge Bag of Worries. Now, I think we shared this almost a year ago on our very first virtual assembly. And I'm going to share it with you again now because its message is so very, very important. The Huge Bag of Worries. Bear with me. Jenny had always been happy. She had a lovely mum and dad, a great brother, well, most of the time. She had a best friend at school and she liked her teacher. Then, of course, there was Loftus. But recently, she'd been getting gloomier and gloomier. It wasn't just one thing, it was everything. She was worried she was getting too fat, that Loftus had fleas, and that her best friend was going away. She worried that she was getting bad marks at school and that she heard someone whispering about her in the playground. She worried when her mum and dad had an argument. She even worried about wars and bombs. Until one day, she woke to find a huge bag of worries. The bag followed her everywhere. To school, to swimming, to the toilet, and it even stuck by her when she was watching TV. She tried ignoring it, but it didn't work. She tried throwing it away, but it always came back. She tried to lock it out, but when she got to her bedroom, there it was, waiting for her. It was like a horrible shadow she couldn't get rid of. What could she do? She asked her brother for help, but he was busy with his computer game, and all he said was, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have any worries." After that, she didn't feel like asking anyone else. she knew she'd only feel stupid. Mum would probably say, "You've got no worries I can see. You're a lucky girl. You've got your health, your friends, your family. What more do you want?" So she decided not to tell her. Dad might know what to do, but then she thought again, no, Dad had enough worries of his own. She couldn't ask him. Every day, things got worse. The bag got bigger and bigger and bigger. She couldn't sleep because it kept tossing and turning beside her all night. To make matters worse, the bag dragged around her feet so much that when she was walking to school, that she was late and the teacher was cross. Jenny couldn't tell her what had happened, and anyway she'd probably say, "You've got too many worries. In future, leave that bag at home." I don't think she would. When Jenny told her friend about the bag, she suggested that Jenny locked it up in a cupboard and tried not to think about it. "That's what I do," she said. But it just didn't work. Even Loftus couldn't help. He tried his best and barked like mad, but the bag stood its ground. One morning, Jenny woke up, got dressed, walked down the road. She had had enough. The tears started rolling down her cheeks. She sat on a garden wall and put her head in her hands. She thought she'd have to live with the bag forever. Then she heard a voice, and looking up, she saw the kindly face of the old woman who lived next door. "Goodness," said the old lady, "what on earth is that huge bag of worries?" Through her tears, Jenny explained how it had followed her for weeks and got bigger and bigger and just wouldn't go away. "Now, let's open it up and see what's inside," said the old lady. But Jenny said she couldn't. If she opened the bag, all the worries might jump out, and who knew what might happen then? "Nonsense," said the old lady firmly. "There's nothing a worry hates more than being seen. If you have any worries, however small, the secret is to let them out slowly, one by one, and show them to someone else. They will soon go away." So Jenny opened the bag. The old lady sorted the worries out into groups. Jenny was astonished to see how small they looked when they were out in the open. Half the worries just disappeared, because lots of worries just hate the light of day. As for the rest, the old lady put some into her shopping basket to deal with herself. Some she sent packing because they belonged to other people. Some she just blew a kiss to. And some she said were worries that everyone had, even Jenny's friends, her family, and her teacher. And as for the bag, there you go. So for Jenny, who was feeling very anxious, very worried, she found that sharing those worries was the number one best way to deal with them. It's hard to do, and just like Jenny found, sometimes you might worry what other people will say or think when you tell them. But if you share your worries with somebody you trust, possibly your parents at home, possibly a grown-up at school, possibly a great friend, then that person will be able to help. So please don't forget ever to share your worries. Grown-ups, that goes for you too. Don't forget, grown-ups, that we have mental health, we have well-being, and we must look after ourselves so that we can look after our children. So please, grown-ups, reach out if we can help you at all. We have our Time for Talk sessions on Thursdays with Rachel Perris. We would love to see lots of you there as well. So remember, grown-ups, look after yourselves, and children, look after yourselves by talking and sharing those worries. Now, you might, if you've seen last week's assembly, you might have noticed I promised someone called N2 a poet from Trinidad and Tobago, would be joining us today. Sadly, she can't because she's been very busy doing some filming. But we hope to have her on an assembly, if not next week, then very soon. So if you have any more questions for N2 Pearl Springer, who is a poet from Trinidad and Tobago, please do send them my way. You can read some of her poems online and they are fab. Next week, we have one more week at school before it is half term. Half term will be a rest for you, and it's so important because you deserved it. You worked so very, very hard this term so far. So I hope you can start to plan some nice activities to do at home, maybe out and about for half term. All right. From me, I wish you all a lovely weekend. Well done this week. Have a great rest, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.